y'all? This is Nina Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. I'm so stoked you are here. I know that I say that in every episode. It's because that I am, okay? I am, people. I love that you're here with us, and I want to know, what you feel about the show, how you've been doing, because I know that a lot of you have been reaching out and saying how much you love the guests that are on this show, and I found another goodie for you guys, yo. This is Kim Curtis, and as you know that we come on here to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking, and Kim is going to help us do that today. And she is the best-selling author of Money Secrets, Keys to Smart Investing and Retirement Secrets. And she is a nationally recognized wealth management advisor and president and CEO of the Wealth Legacy Institute. So already you know where we're going, right, people? We're going there. We're doing it. So, Kim, thank you so much for hanging out with me and my straight talkers. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thanks, Nina. Looking forward to what we come up with.
Yes. Oh, I know it's the best part. It's the best part, Kim.
It
All
is.
right. So
It
the
is.
way I start the show and the way I like to start it is for the audience to know a little bit more about you. So the first question, which is always the small question, right? Who is Kim Curtis? Who is Kim? Give it to us.
Yeah, happy to give it to you. So you already kind of said who I am today, but my,
Love that.
30-year-old self back in the day that brought me here. Um, I think the best way to describe who I am today is that what a hell of a journey it has been.
Mm,
I
mm,
grew up with a mom that got divorced, and she had full custody of three teenage daughters. I was the middle of those three, and she had no employable skills and applied for and received government assisted lunches for us.
mm-hmm,
So I had to present this little red ticket to the cashier in the lunch
mm-hmm.
line, looking back
I had
behind
it.
me.
I
Yeah,
had the ticket.
yeah. Looking to see where my friends are. And as I hid that ticket under my plate, walking down with the tray, um, I would quickly give it to the person. And that shame, the unworthiness,
Mm-hmm,
the who am I was full present each
mm-hmm.
and every day at lunch.
That's really tough too. I remember a lot of those things. I grew up very impoverished as well, and my mother was on government assistant. But then
Hmm.
there was a lot of times that I would be spending time with my grandma and grandfather who lived in a better neighborhood. I mean, it wasn't like they weren't wealthy or anything. They were also on assistance, but the my friends that I made there were different, right? They had a little bit more than I had. And so I get that, right? And that shame, it's so funny because even as children, you kind of just know that. Like you kind of just internalize that and you just know this is not what I want. This is not what I want. Right?
Or that you can't have what they have
Right. Well, that's true.
in the
Yeah. Then
beginning
maybe that's it.
initially.
Maybe that's it.
Money, that's for other people, not me. Who
Right.
am I kind of story.
Right. But do you think that that's what got you into thinking of finances? Like, were you a kid saying, you know what? I don't ever want to do this, right? Because I know I grew up that way, but I grew up with a different mentality. I mean, I don't know if it's different, but I grew up with a mentality of working really hard, working
Mhm,
really hard. And it's because because I saw my mom on government assistant, and, that's what she had to do, right? Four
mhm.
kids, that's what she had to do. But I always said to myself internally, never me, never me. What did
The
you
gift
do?
I appreciate that. I love hearing that. Thank you, Nina, because the gift that I got from my mom was her values and what she learned based on her own life. And so she told all three of us to go and make sure we get our education because no one
Good.
can take it away from you.
Good, good.
So I went to undergrad and went to law school, and within 6 months completely defaulted on my school loan debt. Enormous amount of debt. I had no business understanding money,
Mm,
understanding anything about money or the impact of that on my credit report. What was a
mhm,
credit report
mhm.
at that time?
Right, right, right.
So I was numb to understanding money and where money fit in.
Isn't that something though, Kim, that you went to your undergrad and you went to law school and that those schools don't teach you that, right? Like that they don't
No.
they don't teach you that. And then so you're getting this amazing education, becoming, going into law school to possibly become a lawyer, whatever it is you're going to use that degree
Mhm.
for, and you learn a lot and you do know a lot, right? So we're intelligent enough to get there. But when it comes to the finances, I struggled with that too, right? I mean, I worked my way up. I do make six figures, but it was with
Yeah.
a lot of like still with the mentality of working hard, working hard, working hard. I didn't have the mentality of wealth management, budgeting, all of that kind of stuff. So what shifted that for you? What made you like go, okay, this is not working?
It was a huge shift, and it was immediate.
Mm,
I, had an anonymous donor pay $1,000 on my school loan debt.
wow. That's
And,
nice.
back in the day, $1,000 to me was
Yeah.
like $1,000,000 as it
Right.
relates to money awareness of
Right.
how it fit in. And, in today's dollars, my school loan debt was about 92,000 in today's dollars. So it
Hmm.
was a sizable amount
Yeah,
of
it was a
money.
lot. Hmm.
And then to have that gift, and it was anonymous, and the fact that I even opened up my bill
Mhm.
is the first step. I was in such denial. I didn't open up my
I
bills.
used
I
to
let
do
them
that.
pile up.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Remember the
Yep.
day? How many of your listeners feel that right now that
Yes.
they're living that? And for whatever reason, I opened it up to notice that it went down $1,000. And because, as I said, it was anonymous, I couldn't go to them and go, "Why me?" or
Mhm,
"What do you
mhm.
want from me?"
Right.
I,
Right.
I had to ask those questions to myself. And the question that I was asking, if someone believed in me that much, who is it that they believe in?
That's so good.
And what do I believe in about me?
Mhm, mhm. Was that
And
hard to receive, the $1,000? Was that hard for you?
that's another, no, 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 I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Um, but it was anonymous, so I couldn't go, no, no, I don't deserve it. I couldn't do any of that. I had to accept what was given.
Wow.
And so when I went through that inquiry, what I recognized for the first time is that I am 100% responsible for the outcomes in my life. And I have choices around events happen in our life that we have no control over.
Right. Right.
However, we do have a control over how we respond to that event.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that was when it hit me. Okay, I am capable of making better decisions around this. I am capable of creating a better life. I am capable of being conscious around money. If someone cared for me that much to do that, I better show up differently. And I
Wow,
think up until
powerful.
that point, I was in my 20s. I was just existing.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
don't even know if I had any real thought other than going through motions of what I should be doing, not what I really want to do until that moment of
Powerful.
clarity about worthiness.
That's really powerful though, right? Because that $1,000 didn't really just pay a bill. It shifted your whole life.
Right.
And I mean, that talks to a couple of things. One, having the right mindset to look at it that way, because you could have just looked at it and said, "Oh, great, somebody paid the $1,000," and kept going, doing the
Yeah.
same thing you were
Or,
doing.
man, I hope I get more.
Right. Yeah, right. And I'm sure that that was a secret in there. Like, I hope somebody else pays the other 90,000. That would be nice. I know I would be like, "This is so nice. Can I get more?"
Yeah.
So yeah, but at the same time, right? Like, so it does take a certain, I think it takes a certain way of looking at life and a certain mindset though to have looked at that as an opportunity, right? Because you could have
Mhm.
just looked at it like like just somebody gave you something, right? Somebody gave you thousand. What's that saying? Like, you can give a man a fish or teach him to be a fisherman or whatever that is,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I feel like the $1,000 was um just actually spoke to what that person might have saw in your character, right?
Oh.
Because that
Mm.
character spoke to them in a way that they said $1,000 is not even anything. It's just the fact that I see her. I see her, you
Mm.
know?
Think of how many of the viewers or listeners, want to be seen,
Mhm. Mhm.
just in that, because basically, if I were to take that deeper, um, what happened as I asked those questions is it was love. The gift was love.
Mhm.
It was an act of love.
It was an act of love.
And with that act of love was gave me self-respect. Kind of, I have to respect myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And self-respect is the beginning of trust.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of, it was self-respect, love, trust, or trust,
Mhm.
love. But ultimately the end result was love, which made me go, okay, what am I going to do about this for me?
Mhm.
Because I do care about myself. I am worthy, and I'm going to make a difference in the world as a result of that someone did to me. Now,
Right.
that's now the 30 years later self looking back, but during the time it was a snap of, okay, what am I going to do different? So my
Right.
legal background took me into a national dispute resolution firm. So my area of expertise is negotiation, mediation, arbitration,
Mhm.
and I moved up in the ranks and became a regional vice president. And I was the youngest in the country, reporting to the president in
Oh,
New
wow,
York
that's
City.
awesome.
And I thought I was pretty awesome back in
Yeah,
the time when you
that's
don't know any
awesome.
better.
Yeah.
You don't know any better. You think you're kind of, your shit doesn't stink. I mean, you kind of
Right.
don't know what you don't know.
Right. Right.
But what happened is, as I went up, I stopped making a difference in people's lives. I stopped being in settlement conferences. I stopped
Mm.
being in mediations, and I became a spokesperson. And so at 30, I did a career shift, and I did that through a quiz.
Okay.
I had a friend that was in human resources that had all the tools and all the assessments. And at the end of going through that, they said, financial planning, finance is a good place for you to go. And I'm thinking, no
Right.
problem. I
Oh, you
could
think of
knock
no
that out.
problem. Okay.
Yeah, 3 to 5 years, I'm going to be sailing financially. And then it was like, okay, wait, 5 to 7. And I swear, Nina, it really was closer to 7 to 10 years before I
Mhm.
felt like I had any real control over my outcomes
Mhm.
as it
Mhm.
relates to me personally, money wise. Because when you start a business entrepreneurially in finance and in financial planning, historically, back in the brokerage world, it was eat what you kill, so to speak. That's not where I am now. I left that and created the firm that I'm at today, Wealth Legacy Institute. But in the brokerage world, you're in sales.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there's a reason why people are unhappy with the advice that they get is they don't necessarily realize that that person is in sales and they work for the house, not for the client. So when I realized that, I had to create a firm that had soul, a firm that was filled with humanity.
Right.
And
Right.
that's when I created Wealth Legacy Institute, and that was over 15 years ago. That put clients first, not last. So that's kind of
Awesome.
the journey from that snap, was really about self care and self respect, and then doing, of course, basic things along that line
Mhm.
to develop wealth consciousness.
That's good. And what I like about what you're saying too is that I want all of you who are listening to hear is that this is not an overnight thing, right? This I think 'cause I think one of the benefits and the not so great things of social media is this immediate gratification, right? It's this immediate solution. You'll be a billionaire in 30 days, right? And then people are getting disappointed and hurt a lot because they're falling for that. They think that it should have been 30 days. It should be super easy. Why am I still struggling? Right. But what you're talking about is legacy. You're talking about, setting yourself up. And the thing is the same we talked about in the beginning that somebody saw something in you so that they admired that and they put the $1,000 in you. We need to reverse that into ourselves,
Mhm.
right? So put it
Mhm.
in yourself. Act like you are the anonymous donor and you're doing it for you, right? To see the value in you, right? So tell me about the Wealth Legacy Institute. What is that about? Why? I know that you said it's created for soul, but why? What is
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, in the nature of my work, because 90% of the people that do what I do or call themselves financial planners or in wealth management are in a model that is in sales. So there's only 10% of the firms that are your fiduciary all the time, that put your clients first, just like a CPA.
Mhm.
Um, and then if your clients come first, the process then is very different. You're not selling anything.
Right.
You're actually working as their advocate and steward on life events.
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
I guess the best way to describe what we do, if you think of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you got the pyramid, and at the bottom of the pyramid is security, food, clothing,
Right.
shelter,
Right.
and at the top of the pyramid is, I think, self actualization.
Mhm.
Well, if you think of money, money is a thread that integrates in every it's an invisible thread and
Right.
visible, but that it integrates in every aspect of our lives. So if you think when someone comes to us, the very first thing that they're looking for is management of money. So that'd be the bottom of this four step inside this pyramid is managing money. They have resources and they want to take it to the next level or preserve it. The next step in that pyramid is goal achievement. You need to have a financial plan because having investing money without a plan is like archery without a bullseye.
Yeah.
When capital markets are crazy, you have no measure of what that means specifically to you other than it just feels bad.
Mhm. Mhm.
So tying it to financial plan takes you to that third, which is peace of mind. Ultimately, it's lifestyle. If you have your
Good.
investments tied to a plan, you're living your lifestyle. That's the
Mhm.
goal of working with a
Mhm.
firm like mine is to live your ideal life and perfect calendar.
Right.
So when you can do that is when you get that peace of mind.
It's good.
And then the pinnacle of that pyramid, if you work your way through that to lifestyle peace of mind, it's impact. It's legacy. You finally have the space to breathe, to
Right.
actually think deeper about why you're here on this planet. Money is frenetic, it's all around us. And our job is to put it down here as your foundation so that you can see clearly the vision of why you're here on this planet. What are
Mhm.
your unique gifts? And
Mhm.
what are you going to do to make a difference in the world? That's impact. And it can be legacy depending on who you are and what's important to you.
That sounds like really powerful, impactful, and important work, honestly. It really does,
Mm,
and I think especially right now, right? Right now, because of all of the costs of everything going up and the inflation and people
mhm,
getting worried. And, a lot of people, even though there's a lot of jobs available, people not landing the right jobs, like
right.
these are real things. This is really happening, right? So
Yeah.
let me ask you about that. So say somebody is listening to you right now and says, but I really don't have much.
Mhm,
Or I have
mhm,
more debt than I have money. Let's just
mhm.
say that because that's most everybody, at
It
this
is.
point. Yeah, it's most everybody.
Mhm.
Is that something do you think that I think I know the answer to this, but what do you think how do they get started, right? When they hear Kim right now and they're saying, "Man, she's speaking my language. I just don't know if I even have it because I have so much debt and, this much coming in." What do you say to that?
Yeah. It's interesting that you asked that because you and I in the green room talked about this earlier that my life's work has led me to one overriding truth.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that truth is that money actually is looking for you,
Yes, you gotta break that down. Break it down, sister.
not the other way around. Not the other way around. Like I need money, I need this. Well, the more you say you need it, you really will need it
Oh,
because
go
because
ahead.
you
Go
know
ahead. Okay, okay, Kim. Hold on. This is you see this right here? This is a mic drop. Go ahead.
well,
We're
what's
done.
interesting
The show is over. Go
What's
ahead,
interesting
Kim.
is it would be interesting to ask your viewers or listeners, based on the fact that I said that, what happened to you at that time? Like, what did you think? What was your initial response to me saying that money is looking for you?
Mhm. Well,
Oh,
it makes you well, to me personally, it made me pause and say, then why am I struggling and like gripping onto everything if money is looking for me? Because
hmm,
the first thing I thought of is, well, if you're looking for me, I'm gonna open the door for you. Here you go. Come on in. Come on
right.
in. But
well,
I'm sure that people are going, huh? How is that? You
yeah.
know?
So a lot of people, I think, will think, you know, she's full of crap, or some of the viewers may be instantly curious and know that by listening to what we're talking about, they're going to get something valuable.
Right.
So, whatever that was that triggered when I said that,
Mhm.
recognize that because that's part of your money mindset.
That's good.
Are
That's
you
good, Kim.
receptive
Mhm.
or are you skeptical? If you're skeptical, right there is one of the indicators of why money is not finding you.
Mm, 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 mm.
The so
I love this.
if you think about neuroscience,
Yeah.
our bodies are covered with
Mhm.
little receptors, and those receptors help our body understand what it needs. From antigens, even sunlight
Yeah.
help us understand what we need. So, if that is true, then how do we trigger our money receptor? Because we all
Mm,
have it. We're wired for money just by
okay.
neuroscience alone. We're wired for money. So, how do we trigger it?
Mhm.
One way to think about that is you're driving on the road and all of a sudden a fancy Lamborghini or whatever is important to you drives by. Like, I know my son, like, he takes a picture, like, oh, mom, look at that. Like, you
Mhm.
pause. Some people may pause and go, wow, that's fascinating, like my son. Someone else may say, who would spend that much money on a car? What a waste of money.
Money, yeah. Yeah.
On the flip, that's rich side. On the poor side, when you see that poverty, do you turn away because you can't look at it? Do you think, why are they asking with a sign? They need to just get a job. What are the stories that you need to unpack
Mhm.
based on your money receptor? So
Hmm,
that helps you understand where you are and what you may need to unpack that's blocking your receptor
that's
on being
good.
magnetic to money. Because money needs you. Because if you think about what is money, money is facilitates exchange. From a tactical standpoint, that's what money
Right.
does for us. We created it. But really it has no meaning. It's
That's
only
true.
what we choose to give it.
Right. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
when something I say a lot is how you do money is how you do life. So if your head is in the sand like mine was in money, then it's in the sand in other areas of your life because
Yeah.
money ties is this invisible thread to every little piece core life success from community to relationships to career to finance to health. Money, every time we use it and spend it, it demonstrates where we are with it in terms of
Mhm.
our values, our vision, our
Mhm.
ideas. So the reason money is looking for you is to become something. And the only way it
Right.
can become something is through your ideas and your vision and your values to turn it into something of use to the world.
So I agree. I think that what you're saying is really resonated with me and something that I truly agree with because in my life I was struggling for a very long time. And it wasn't until I started to get into neuroscience and neuro linguistic programming and all that kind of stuff and reprogram the way I think about money and things, just life in general.
Hmm.
It wasn't and then until I broke through to the six figures. Otherwise, I was still stuck, struggling. It was really a difficult, and I still find myself sometimes going, there's something I got to work on here. This is not right. So let me ask you about somebody who is or do you have a tactic or something that you can leave our give our audience about when it's not going their way,
Hmm.
right? Because that's the other thing too is we do, Kim, have to catch ourselves, right? Because we'll have like a good little streak going, and then if something doesn't go our way, we have this little temper tantrum that we start throwing, right? And we start, saying things that are not beneficial. So tell me what you do yourself or what you maybe taught your kids or somebody
Hmm.
about that moment, those moments when you don't see the money coming in or you're feeling discouraged. What do you suggest there?
So first of all, Nina, we have to answer the first question of what story are we telling ourselves based
Right.
on the beginning of this
Mhm. Mhm.
podcast.
Mhm.
So if that gets back to what you said, which is mindset.
Right.
What's your money history? What's your money story? What are your money beliefs? And more often than not, they're not yours. They
Right.
were your great
Program.
grandpa
Yep.
being a tightwad that
Right.
you inherited and don't even realize that you've accepted that value and it's not your own.
So true.
So the more you can unpack that, that's the start.
Mhm.
The second thing is, and we talked about it a little bit, that it's a journey, but money ebbs and flows. It's not always full on.
That's
It's
right.
similar to an ocean, the ebb and flow. And our job is during the ebbs is to work on ourselves, to work on ourselves,
Good.
to come up with more ideas, to be more smart about money principles. But
Mhm,
I'll take
mhm,
that a step further. There's something else that I've learned through these years based on my own personal experience of that snap is that there are two laws of money. One is the what I do every day. It's the human money laws. It's
mm,
financial planning, it's cash flow management, budgeting, protection planning, portfolio construction, estate planning, tax mitigation, retirement. That's what I do,
mhm.
which is learned. The second law of money is natural money laws, which we have inherently inside of us. Some of the examples of that are giving and receiving,
Yeah.
cause and effect, which gets back to the ebb and flow of money,
Mhm.
supply and demand, intention and desire, clear agreements, not only with ourselves, but with others as business owners. How do we make sure that we have very clear agreements that are win win?
Right.
It
That's
also could be mercy and justice. But it's natural laws that are around us every day that we've become disconnected with over the centuries, that we tend to focus on the human money laws. But
mhm.
we need both in balance. And guess where it starts, Nina? Not on the human side. It's
Okay.
an inside game.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It starts here, and we know it.
Mhm,
Remember, I talked about what happened? Well, it kind of was self respect. Then it went to, it ultimately was trust, and you know it, you feel it.
mhm.
When you think of the human made laws are more linear. They're like, it's a goal that you're working towards. It could be a
Right,
career, it could be an amount of money, it could be security, but you have a goal and you set yourself to that goal. That's the human money laws.
right,
Um, they're more left brain,
right.
quantitative. The right brain or the natural money laws are actually more relationship based. They're right brain. So, particularly as women, we naturally respond to the natural money laws. We do it every day. We give to others oftentimes before we give to ourselves.
Right, right.
We understand community, we understand relationships, we understand family,
Mhm.
which is why financial planning talks to women more than investments do.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah,
Because family
yeah.
is a natural piece. Investments we created, it's human
Mhm,
made.
mhm, mhm. Wow, that
So
makes a
if
lot
you
of
think
sense.
about where do you start, you already have it.
Mhm.
It's allowing it to come out and understand that again you need them in balance. So once you understand the natural money laws and it ebbs and flows and it's not always on and it's giving and receiving, which you probably do really well,
Mhm.
maybe not receive as well, but learn to do those things, then ultimately we get smart about the human made laws. But
Yeah,
sometimes people go on the human made laws first, particularly in America, and miss the natural money laws and
yeah,
have a lot of money and are very unhappy in life.
yeah, and then we complain because we don't know why we're so unhappy. Then they listen to Kim and they're like, "Oh, maybe that's why I'm so mad."
I grew up, Nina, in Buffalo, New York. Oh, actually, a small town outside of Buffalo. And Buffalo straddles the Canadian border and the state of New York.
Mhm, mhm.
And what is there is the vast, beautiful Niagara Falls.
Yeah, I've
And
been.
Niagara Falls gets its power by the power plants that line its bank.
Hmm.
Similar to how money has no power until it gets your idea. So money gets its powers through your ideas.
Right,
So it's the
right,
same way. Money doesn't have any power until you put something to it. And the way to do it is through your ideas, your vision, your values, your dreams,
right.
who you are as a person, showing your unique, beautiful self. That's magnetic to money.
Yeah, that's
But the
good.
falls on its own has no
Mhm,
power.
mhm.
It's the plants that give the Niagara Falls its power that supplies
Okay.
energy to the state of New York, similar to how your ideas does to money.
I love that we're having this conversation, Kim, because it's a very you're right. I mean, I think we're more focused on the human laws, right? So it's
Mhm.
a very good conversation because I think people can actually see it from a different angle and not just say, oh, is she talking about wealth management? Oh, she's going to talk about how this is how much money you put away. This is how much money and all of that can is very important.
Mhm.
you should have some, some sort of guidance in that. But it's also that mindset piece is incredibly important, right? The fact that you need to be connected to where you're aligned, what you really believe in, how you believe in that. Because even if you save a lot of money and you have this very impoverished mindset, you will waste or spend that money in ways that you don't understand why you do that. I mean, that's what I
Right.
went through. I'll
That's
speak for
exactly
myself.
right.
I'll speak for myself. That's what I went through, where I would save, and as soon as it got to a certain peak, I would spend it on. I'm like, why do I keep doing that? And so I'm totally jiving with what you're saying. I really, really am. So I want to just wrap this up with you telling me about how people can really work with you, Kim. Like, when they want to call you or they want to work with you, like, how can they work with you? How do they find you? What do they do to be a part of the Wealth Legacy Institute?
Yeah, I'm at wealthlegacyinstitute.com.
Okay.
But may I take a step back on that?
Yes, of course.
Because when we talk about the steps, it's kind of, remember the very first ones. The cornerstone is
Yeah,
not impact, but 100% responsible for the outcomes in your life. The second is uncovering your limiting beliefs. That's really important
I
that we
love it.
mentioned, but it's really important.
Yeah.
And then the third is, what are your dreams and goals? And I think as women, to give yourself permission that you deserve, and men
Mm,
in a
mm,
different way, that you
mhm,
deserve, that you have self respect to ask for what you want.
mhm.
That is so important because know who you are.
Right.
Most of us, I didn't know who I was in my 20s, which is why I acted the
I
way I
did it.
did. So the third was know who you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Have that clarity of your
Yeah.
identity. Because when you know who you are, you do know what your passions are. You do know what your
Mhm,
vision and your
mhm.
values are. And then level up. What I mean by that is, you said we each have a set point.
Yeah.
Change that set point. And I continually have to change my set point.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, what income is appropriate? How much do I want to have set aside?
Right.
I remember telling my mom, "Mom, I have 25,000 saved." And I knew at that time back in the day that I had more than my mom.
Mhm, mhm.
And I was so pleased. But then I remember when it turned to 50, and when 50 turned to 100, and 100 turned to 200, and on and on and on. Those things are so motivational. And it starts
Yeah.
with $100 in your checking account, and all of a sudden it's
Right.
500 bucks.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
set things to give you that motivation.
Yeah, I love that.
And then lastly,
Yeah.
start. And it's
That's
just
it.
a day by day, because remember, it's a journey.
That's it.
So if we, in terms of the listeners and the viewers, is, do you want your life to continue to be what it's doing? Do you like that? No. Okay, what are you going to do differently about it? Now,
Mhm,
intellectually, we all know that answer. We
mhm,
want to change it.
mhm.
But how do we change it is by starting to understand that we need to be magnetic enough with our ideas to create something beautiful and powerful in the world for money to find us.
I
So
love it.
ask yourself, listeners, viewers, if money is looking for you, what ideas do you have for it?
Right, because it has to keep ebbing and flowing, and it
Yeah.
does. It
And an
does. It
idea
can't
will
stay
come,
stagnant. Yeah.
and ideas are abundant. And
Yeah.
once you have ideas and it's in alignment with who you are and your skill set,
Yep.
all of a sudden you get more ideas, and many of them will be awful.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have ideas and more ideas, it
I love it.
generates wealth consciousness. And
Yes.
that's what we've been talking about the whole time, is wealth
That's
consciousness.
so good. That's so good, Kim. I already dropped my mic. I can't go get it now. That is so good. Honestly, this has just been such a phenomenal conversation, and I'm really, really glad that you came on and impacted my audience the way you did. I know that I try to really connect with my community, and
Mhm.
they are always asking questions, sending emails, making comments, all that great stuff. So I know that you said it's Wealth Legacy Institute
Yes.
.com, right?
Yes.
.com.
And
Mhm.
I would love to give a free gift out
Yeah,
of
let's
the
do it.
10 laws of money that every investor should know.
Mhm.
And that is at financialliteracypress.com. And there are other resources on financialliteracypress.com that are free, that are available for your listeners who want it.
Beautiful. I'll make sure to add that to the show notes. Thank you for that, Kim. And before I let you go, I do want to know the book. They can get that anywhere? Your book?
Which book? Oh, I have
Oh,
2 books,
oh, you
that's
have 2?
why.
Oh, excusez-moi. You had the money secrets, the key to smart investing and retirement secrets?
Yes,
Mhm.
Retiring Happy, Healthy, and Free, and those can be purchased on Amazon.
Okay, all right, Kim,
Thank you,
let me see,
Nina.
I see you, Kim, I see you. Getting that money to flow, I got you.
That's right, that's right.
Thank you so much for being on here. This was so much fun and so, like, full of knowledge and all of that, and I really appreciate anything that makes impact in people's lives touches my heart, so thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, didn't you love her? I told you were gonna love her. I wasn't kidding. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening to this conversation. I know that what she said has brought value into your life, and I would love for you to go ahead and support Kim, follow her on all of her social media, but also go onto her website, check it out because you're going to be able to work with a phenomenal human and you already heard her, right? And so also go to financialliteracypress.com and make sure that you check that out as well. So she's giving you resources, she's giving you so many beautiful things to think about. And I want you to win. That's what this is about. I want you to win. So, guys, thank you guys so much for being here. This is Nina Perez. This is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time.